Welcome to the Japan Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into a document that has really shaped security in Asia for over 60 years, the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty. And as you're about to see, its real power doesn't just come from military muscle, but from a foundational promise of peace and friendship. So let's get right into it.
You might think a security treaty would open with talk of armies or weapons, but not this one. It starts right here, with this phrase about peace and friendship. For anyone watching outside of Japan, this is probably the most important place to start. It tells you right away that this alliance isn't just about strategy, it's a partnership that's meant to be built on shared values.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at it as a pact for peace. Then, we'll get to the heart of the treaty. After that, we'll see how it's more than just defense. We'll touch on the rules of the alliance, and finally, we'll ask the big question. Was this treaty actually built to last? Okay, let's jump right into Section 1. Before we get into all the articles and legal language, we have to understand the spirit of the agreement. The preamble, this is like the treaty's mission statement. It tells us why it even exists. And just look at how broad these goals are. It's not just about security. The treaty commits both countries to democracy, to working together on their economies, and even to following the rules of the UN Charter. Right from the very beginning, this was designed to be way more than just a military pact. It's more like a blueprint for a total partnership.
So with that foundation of peace and cooperation set, now we can get to the part everyone thinks of when they hear security treaty. Let's talk about its core defense promise.
So what's the one thing, the single most important promise in this whole document? Well, it all comes down to one really powerful article. And here it is, Article 5. Basically, it says that if anyone launches an armed attack on territory that Japan administers, the United States will consider that a direct threat to its own peace and safety. This is the absolute legal anchor of the whole thing.
And that specific wording, dangerous to its own peace and safety, that is everything. See, it's not just a nice promise to help out a friend. No, it legally defines an attack on Japan as a threat to America itself. This means the U.S. is obligated to act to meet what the treaty calls the common danger.
Now, this brings us to a really key point, and it's something people talk about a lot. The commitment is asymmetrical. It's kind of a one-way street in a sense. The U.S. must defend Japan, but the treaty doesn't say Japan has to defend the U.S. if it gets attacked somewhere else. And that wasn't an accident. It's a direct result of Japan's post-war constitution, which famously renounces war.
But look, a strong alliance can't just be built on one big promise, right? You need other things to hold it all together. So now let's look at the supporting pillars that make this partnership actually work, day in and day out.
So you have Article 2, which just reinforces those goals of friendship and economic partnership. But then you get to Articles 3 and 6, and these are all about capability and logistics. They commit both nations to keeping up their own defenses, and, this is a huge one, Article 6 is what provides the legal justification for the U.S. military presence in Japan.
And this is that Article 6, spelled out plain and simple. It's the legal backbone for the U.S. bases in Japan. It grants American forces the use of land, air, and naval facilities, all for the purpose of ensuring Japan's security and, just as importantly, maintaining peace across the entire region.
Okay, so we've got the spirit of the deal, and we've got the core commitments. But you might be wondering, how does this incredibly powerful alliance fit into the bigger picture of international law? Well, that's where we get into the fine print.
This right here is a crucial rule. Article 7 makes it crystal clear. This treaty does not override the UN Charter. It's not a hall pass to ignore global rules. This means the alliance operates firmly within the international legal system, not as some kind of exception to it.
Finally, for a treaty with such deep commitments, how permanent is it really? I mean, is there an escape hatch? An exit clause? Let's take a look at how it was designed to last, but maybe not forever.
When it was first signed, Article 10 put in a sort of lock-in period. For a minimum of 10 years, the treaty had to stay in effect. Neither side could even talk about ending it. This sent a really strong signal that this was a serious, long-term commitment from day one.
But here's the interesting part. After that first decade, the process for ending it, also in Article 10, became, well, surprisingly simple. One side just has to give a formal one-year notice to the other, and after that year is up, the treaty's terminated. That's it.
So
Think about this timeline. It was signed in 1960. That 10-year lock-in ended in 1970. That means for over half a century, either Japan or the US could have started that one-year clock at any time, but they haven't. The treaty just keeps on going.
And that really brings us to our final question. The fact that this treaty has lasted for decades, even though it has had a clear and simple exit path since 1970, well, that might just be its most powerful statement. What does its endurance tell us about how much both nations still value this partnership? It's almost like it's a living document, one that gets renewed every single day that notice isn't given.
And that's our explainer on the U.S.-Japan Security Treaty. If you found this helpful, please be sure to subscribe and hit that like button. We've got more deep dives coming on the topics that are shaping Japan and the world. Thanks for watching.